s'mores. So, anybody look familiar in this? Well, that one you've seen.
Absolutely.
You've seen that one, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my radio operator.
Is it?
Right there. That's the pilot. That was the bombardier, co-pilot here. This is the navigator. This is the bombardier right here. This is the co-pilot. He weighed about 130 pounds, 35 at the most. Yeah.
All people ask how they did it, and I always just tell people, I'm like, well, they didn't have a McDonald's on every corner, so they were a lot slimmer.
They were small.
Well, yeah, I weighed 135. And when I got out of the service, I weighed I was teaching school out in Denver, I weighed 145. When I was in the service in relation to it. Yeah, that's Julian Rogers. That's we named our plane after him.
Right.
Whenever we were shot down, he got us on one engine. He landed our B-17 on the water in the North Sea on one engine. Put it in a steep like this.
Yeah.
We were in the radio room sitting on our butts, and like if you were sitting on your butt and you'd be in front of me, I was next to the Bombay door. I was halfway in the Bombay door when he pulled me out. I went through that.
Yeah, you got knocked out, right?
Oh,
yeah,
because I'd been hit with shrapnel in my face.
Right.
See, oh yeah.
Was it 19?
29.
Was 19 the one?
May 19th, 1944.
May 19th.
Which mission number was that?
May 19th.
It was like your 10th
11.
mission?
It's a mission 11.
Mission 11.
Yeah, May 19th.
So after that, you were a fill-in gunner once you recovered, right?
With another crew because he'd been wounded real bad, so they took him and he didn't want to
May
fly.
19th. See what happened? See that when Clarence became a fill-in gunner was about the 20th.
See, they begin to drop down from 10 men to 9.
About the 20th mission.
Yeah, the inside guy they didn't need.
Well, the thing about it, too, Keith, is they had a lot of guys that were wounded in that section, flat.
Oh,
So they figured it in the way they had it set up that the guy, he got less and less fighters
right.
going out on a mission, so the waist gunner could pretty well take care of both those two guns,
Okay.
whichever side they
From the
And,
night.
and you were
left waist.
you were on the F or the G?
I flew first on the F, and then
Oh,
later
yeah.
on they got the G. So you got the F model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is his first mission with John David's crew. Because their left waist gunner was
See, I was first armor on my ship.
killed.
So you get machine guns and bombs and this kind of thing.
Right.
So that's the reason why that I was at that position and relating to that instead of being in the tail gunner.
So did you take care of all the guns on the aircraft or just your gun?
Well, sometimes the navigator and the bombardier would say, take a look at him and set him in the headspace shed,
Okay.
so that wouldn't, you had to learn that and set that up and lay that, and sometimes I would check and see, said if I got all the oil off the gun, because you got up at high altitude, when it was 35 to 65 below zero, the damn things would freeze up.
Yeah.
So you wanted as much of that wiped off as possible, just enough to allow it to be lubricated to slide back and forth. Because that's the way that barrel moved inside that bronze thing on the end of the barrel, moved back and forth. I've seen them barrels bent like a walking stick.
Really?
Absolutely, like that farm so long, it just bent the whole thing.
The wind just.
And it was heated so that the aircraft flying, the bent and was gone. I mean, they fired through. We always had 3 to 6 bursts. That's the way that's where they wanted it, and the barrel have a chance at high altitude to cool down a little bit. So you had to practice.
Yeah. Well, I mean that barrel was a smaller barrel because you're freezing, so it doesn't need to be thick.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So at low altitudes, it was real problem.
Now see, sometimes the bombardier would call, and the radio operator would come out and say, you want it up in the Bombay. So we get at 10,000 feet, we start putting on the oxygen mask. Fire your guns, we'd be over the channel. We fire our guns, and the bombardier would check each one of our stations, like station 1 is the left waist. I'm just using it as a number at the moment, Keith. And he'd say, station 1. That's all he wanted to hear from me. Everything's fine, sir.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not like this Memphis Belle thing they had for this film they had.
Yeah, I always tell people, when they're screaming over the radios and all that, I was like, watch the 1944 documentary. It is disciplined and controlled. I mean, it's chaotic, but all the radio communications is very disciplined.
You better believe it.
Bandy, 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock.
That's correct. Absolutely. And
It didn't do any good to scream.
I wouldn't be looking for my precious metal on my neck if it was laying on the floorboard are you kidding? And talking like they did and relating to things, you know, the
Yeah.
film, you know, they do it.
Yeah, I always tell people, I was like, all that stuff happened. It didn't happen to that crew on that mission, but you know, all that stuff did. You know, they just took a whole bunch of stuff and threw it together. For that
I was
film.
just thinking this morning when Fort Paddington picked me up, and I'm excited to a point that I can't believe. But anyway, it's some of the things like when we were seated in the radio room on our butts, and I was seated against the bulkhead of the radio room going into the Bombay.
Right, forward.
That plywood door.
Mhm.
Nope, there. And I remember that we had to sit with my knees up against the back. That's how I didn't know it till just a few years ago when I went to the Veterans Center and they got my records from Great Yarmouth Naval Hospital in England. And his knees had gone into my back. The indentation, they said, was about 3.5 inches, where all that pressure landing on the water.
Yeah.
And I went almost halfway into that plywood door on that.
That wouldn't surprise
See, there
me.
were 3 and 3, Keith, when you sit in the radio room. The bombardier and navigator were back there with the gunners
Right.
for ditching.
Mhm.
That was the procedure we practiced down in Avon Park, Florida. That's where I had my training
Right.
to go overseas. So you were 3 and 3, and you had your hands right behind your neck. So when we hit the water, they wouldn't break
Right.
your neck.
Yeah.
So
whiplash.
we kept that, I mean, we had our hands right there. Well, that was a strain on your hands and everything, you know, bruising.
Sure.
And then you would drove us forward like that. But we were, like I said, we were extremely fortunate. Our pilot, as skilled as he was, to land that damn airplane on one engine. He told my wife many years later, he didn't tell me, that he said, Clarence, he said, when the waves were a little over 5 feet in height.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, yes.
You're lucky you didn't tumble.
Oh, that's exactly
See, that's
Yeah.
what Clarence and I,
That's exactly what we're talking about.
I didn't
But
know,
he said-
I didn't know how that plane landed until I got this information.
He
here.
said, Clarence, he said, I told Lorraine, my wife, he said, when I got ready to end this like this and when I pulled back on the yoke, the tail was getting, and I can still hear the tail dragging sometimes.
Right through the
Yeah,
wedge.
you can hear it. Well, at least I think I can. I mean, Keith, it's been too many years.
I'm sure it's a very vivid memory.
And then all of a sudden it was a hell of a joke. But he told her, he said, Lorraine, he said, that damn waves, all of a sudden, if something happened, they went down to nothing. It was like I'm landing on a landing field. Can you believe that? And then, as soon as then all of a sudden, the damn waves, boy, I mean, and then the tail broke off, right behind the ball turret. He said if the tail had fallen like it normally would have, it had killed all of us in the Bombay, in the radio room. It fell to the side, because we were shot full of holes.
Sure.
We had cannon holes in it, like
Yeah,
the
it would've
co-pilot
just
said,
twisted up.
absolutely. He said, you could not believe, Clarence, how many holes we had in this airplane. See, they tacked us, we were in Purple Heart Corner, the last airplane in the lower
Quadrant.
group,
Yeah.
and they came down up above, coming through like 6 across, 6 190s, like that, just like that.
Just
That's the way
kept
they,
looping on you?
that's the way they came in. They circled around and went out, and come back around in and give us. The first time they went in, they knocked one engine completely off. When they went on, when the top turret gunner said to us guys in the back, one engine's gone, fellas. We thought, well, we didn't see the prop wasn't turned.
Yeah.
What does he mean by one engine? He said, it's not even there, period.
Just
I
turned
couldn't,
off.
I couldn't believe that. But that's what I'm just,
That is a tough airplane.
to tell me about it. I can,
Tough airplane. I try to tell people all the time, I'm like, go look at some of the battle damage you see on these things. And you know, a lot of them came home, or, well, I got you pretty close to home.
Keith, I seen one plane came in, you've seen pictures of it. And this happened to we had a radio operator blown completely out of the radio room. Shell came through and exploded just about when he got inside the aircraft and the radio position where he's at, you know.
Yeah.
The hole was in there, you could almost put a little small car that go through the hole. That plane came back in there, you know, you know what I can still hear once in a while? I even told you on the phone about the smell of the cables moving back and forth.
Yeah.
And though I can still once in a while pick up that smell. And it's strange. I know it's not, but I can watch those cables moving back and forth when, you know, we're in my position. They're right above
Oh,
your
yeah, right above your head.
right above your head. See, And I could, in relating to that, you know, and you know how, what, your plane, people say, well, I see them up in the air and they look, I said, no, them planes are
They're bouncing. Yeah.
they're like this, and you know,
It's just that the whole formation is bouncing.
that's
You don't
correct.
realize that each
Yeah,
one
and they
is
said,
doing it.
oh, really? I said, oh, yeah. How close were you? I said, well, sometime we would be flying where the wings would almost be like that. Not quite, but almost. You could look on, you could wave at the guy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of mid-air collisions.
Oh,
Lots of mid-air collisions.
well, fog, I was thinking about this morning, this damn weather. And I know we took off a number of times from Thor Abbott's. That's where I got in the back of your thing for you. At Thor Abbott.
Tornado something?
Yes.
First Monday of the month.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we didn't see anything coming in that should have prompted that.
But anyway, Keith, it's, you know, it's, but I've seen them come in and land, go to the end of the runway, and they'd have a clamshell on a crane,
Yeah.
big trailer, pick up the B-17 and set it right on the, take it to the junkyard. And yet they'd land them.
Yeah, tough. I get the,
You can't believe it.
I get the 24 guys and they come up and talk about their airplane was better, and you know,
Well, they flew it faster so they could keep it in the air.
it was faster, could fly higher, and could carry more, technically. But which one did you want to come home on?
You better believe it. Well, the thing about it is, the B-17, though, most of my missions were all roughly 28,000, 23 to 24 to 28,000, and we only had a couple of missions I remember more than anything else. We were flying 300 to 500 feet, and we were dropping supplies to the underground in southern France, and in relating to that, and then, and I couldn't believe it.
Just a test siren. You guys are used to that, I'm sure.
I couldn't believe that Julian said we're going to be at roughly 300 to 500 feet to drop these cylinders down. I said, that's too low to the ground. You know what I mean? Because where they had the supplies to be picked up, so the Germans, where they had this thing open in the field, and they had smoke bombs coming up. And as we come in over the thing like that, it was down in a valley lot. And you had to come in, and then Julian had to come up over the trees.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, and then we dropped the cylinders out. The cylinders were pretty good size in the Bombay. Had 3 parachutes on each one.
Would you like to fly that at 300 feet?
Well, I've gotten to, but it's definitely nerve-wracking. You'd much rather have some altitude.
Very little chance for here.
Well, Keith,
I mean, it's, you know,
It's
the
flyable.
way we fly it especially, it's a lot, I mean, it's light. We, you know, 40,000 pounds.
see, that's what Dean was saying. He said this morning, he asked about the bombs, and I said, well,
I do it 2 tons.
9 or 10 people,
2 to 3
you
tons.
figured, I was figuring 100 pounders.
Yeah, 37 of them, that's max.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And they're relating to, and I was trying in my mind going way back, 100 pounders, they're more than that, but that's what we call them in relating, and that's what we were trying to figure out your weight in relating to people, the
Right.
way you do things now.
Sure.
And then something else I was going to ask you. You don't top off your tanks now. You have about half.
I was wondering.
We go maybe 1,200 gallons. If we have a lot of flights for a day, we'll maybe go 1,200 gallons, maybe 14. But we almost never top off the tanks. There's just no reason to.
Would it be around what, 1,600?
No, well,
Would it be
let's see,
16?
about 1,800.
18.
This has actually got Tokyo tanks, but they're disconnected. Yeah, so they're.
Well, now where are the Tokyo tanks, in the Bombay?
No, they're actually
Out in the
so
outer-
in between the supports, out in the outer edges of the wings. There's 9 tanks on each wing, and it doesn't quite double the capacity. But
I
something like
tell you what, I don't know what wreck we were flying down in Avon Park, or we were going over the bombing range with 100-pound tractor bombs. And finally, Julian said to the bombardier, he said, I'm getting sick and tired of going over the damn target. Now the next time we go over it, and he says, pull the switch up there and clear the Bombay out. Boy, he reached up and salvoed, and we had a Bombay tanks on the other side. Everything went out. Bombs on one side went out, and you could see that great big gasoline flying all through the air, and it was tumbling along with those bombs ahead of it.
You get in trouble for that?
Oh, did we get in trouble?
Yeah,
We got back to commanding officer had us.
Yeah.
But we were in a brace slices by that old crate. Oh gosh, yes, Steve. And then we always practiced bailout procedure is another thing. And so Julian said, when I get back to the hard stand, I'm gonna.
No, I'm fine. We've been. Been flying and sitting, so.
He said, I'm gonna ring the bell, you guys go to your position you're supposed to, so we go back, and you know where the door's at, we pull the cable and to pull the pins on the door at the time.
Right.
I don't know whether it's still like that or not.
No, they get the little spring hinges on the doors.
Okay.
So, they're roughly sprung at 100 to 150, something like that. So.
Okay, so, well, we'd set the door off to the side, and we got to the hard stand when the tail gunner was right there, and two waist gunners, and we were right behind him, and we were just supposed to just line up like we were gonna bail out the door in our position.
Sure.
You know what he does? When the bell rings, he's got his hand on his chute, and when the bell rings, he went like this. He looked like a great big Easter lily. It came out through that door and it went out onto the hard stand. Julian got out and boy, he just read him the right.
I mean, because if that had happened in flight, he would have gotten drug and
They won't need fuel this weekend.
he'd have been lucky if he could have gotten himself loose and then used the emergency chute.
Yeah.
But
Well, see, a lot of guys that got hung up on when they bail out, or they hit the
What do you say,
hard
guys?
stabilizer in the back of the head.
Luke
Yeah.
Cherry.
That
Nice to
happened
meet you,
to
Lou.
Clarence.
Hi, Clarence, I'm Bob.
Hi,
Bob.
Nice to meet you, sir.
My daughter
I'm your
Patricia.
farm group.
Yeah, Bloody Hundred.
That's my daughter Patricia, and then Keith over here, my
How
son-in-law.
do you do, Keith?
Nice to meet
You
you.
may have heard of it.
100?
Yeah.
I went to your reunion last, were you there?
No, not me.
I missed you then.
Yeah. You were at Savannah?
Savannah?
yeah.
I've done it with Lorraine and I when she was little. We were down there for the dedication of the museum.
Is that right?
I'm on the wall down there. She gave me the gift.
I got a book I need to have you guys sign for me. I'd like to have all the veterans sign a B-17 book for me.
Okay.
Would you guys mind doing that?
I don't know.
There's a whole bunch of signatures in there. We can do it right now if you want to.
Yeah, I don't get
You guys gonna go flying with us?
I was in the Korean War.
Oh, that, you did too, huh? Would
No,
you-
I wasn't in two.
Oh, okay.
I'm 3 years
Oh, you were in the
behind
Korean
him.
War. So he's the 100th guy.
He's the 100.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you both were.
no, he's my brother. No.
Oh, okay.
No, I did his research for him.
Were you a waist gun?
Left waist.
Left waist.
Both armor on the well, the reason why when I kept looking at this and
Oh, there's the photo. I keep
Oh, that's
asking.
us right there.
I keep asking Michael for the photo.
We put the square D on the airplane just for you guys that weekend.
oh, you God bless both of you guys.
Yeah, that was over at
What-
Signature, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was that morning. We had all the veterans out.
And see, here's the reason why I did what I did on this. I saw that. I thought I'm gonna bring this out.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the Memphis Belle. And the
Right.
thing about it, when I talked to Keith, Dave Shelshey was in my squadron.
Dave Teleshay was?
Absolutely, I know him in person. Carol too.
Oh, wow.
See, I
These three people.
That I don't know. I don't recognize any of them. I thought that was Michael Faley, but it's not.
no.
Michael's on the back one.
And you
none
know,
of us were in that photo, were we?
No.
That was
Sam
all the
Hurry
veterans and Michael.
just passed away too. Even though they may have mentioned Sam Hurry was the one that started the museum.
Are you on any of
Is
these?
that right?
At Third Abbott's.
No, I don't think any of the crew's in that
We
picture.
did that Saturday morning, didn't we?
Yeah. Michael's in there, isn't he? Or is he not?
I would imagine he would be in there somewhere.
If he is, he's holding a flag over here or something, but
Okay, maybe that's,
Michael Faley?
yeah.
I think most of those are the real
I think,
real
yeah, I
guys.
think they were trying to do
See,
an all
the-
veteran shot.
The guy that saved it so it could be
Oops,
uh,
that was a gift. I'm gonna get you right on this page. All we need is a, does everybody have a pen handy? There you go. And your last name was Cherry.
that's right, Clarence. Clarence is my favorite.
Well, what everyone does, Clarence, is your name, bomb group,
Okay.
and if you want to put your squadron, your position in the airplane, number of mission.
Is it all right if I write in here?
Absolutely, that's your spot.
That's
Right above your waist position there. I need something to
David.
drink.
Yeah, mission 19. See, he's with Rogers here, and then he's with David here. David was like on his third
I
or fourth
have
mission.
never in
And
my
that's
life
what
had
they're gonna do.
we got to fly in it.
So then they took him from
And
Clarence out
I've
of
never
Julian.
felt like this before. It's the most
5
incredible
missions.
They were trying to bomb the
experience of my life.
MH-265.
And I've done some crazy stuff.
And then he's with David here.
Is
for
this
this
Google?
one.
Could I Google? Would this be online?
This one.
I
Then he's
doubt it.
back He took 5 missions with David, and he's back with Roger.
Okay.
This was in 1940.
Because they got a runner from the States.
Yeah.
What they did.
Well, that's good to get it back with most of it.
But see, then Clarence flew in July, that's his last mission, July 29th. David's crew went all through August.
How does that look,
He got
Keith?
killed September the
Very nice.
I'm trying to get this, I've got to use my whole arm to
He had just started.
Oh, that looks great.
Clarence was already,
I've got arthritis.
Clarence was already on his 29th mission in July.
Right hand. So I've got to really swing. I'm used to
No,
riding.
you have a wonderful signature.
I think I got one Bombay 350 Squadron left waist 1944.
Yeah,
I think
that was I mean, they had 600 guns.
well, you guys with all these amazing.
I can't hear you in
this.
front.
Let me. I'm gonna. Keith, that's what I've done.
That works great. Yeah, works perfect. I'll get you to do the same thing for my book here.
Okay. Let me use this as a reference and then.
Yeah, last year after one of the book signings, the author signed it, and then Bob and me and a couple of the other crew members, we set up a table right after the conference, and all the veterans are walking down the hall, so we're like, come sign this book. So I get to sign it anywhere there, it's fine.
Right here. They even changed the name of the town after the war.
Okay,
From Brooks to Most. It's called Most Czechoslovakia now. They don't call it Brooks. The people there were so, the war devastated that community so bad they changed the name of the town. The reason I know this, because my nephew's a dentist, and a girl came over from Czechoslovakia, a dental technician, and she was working on my teeth. I said, where are you from? Czechoslovakia. And I said, she said, Most. I said, you mean Brooks? She said, no, Most. Well,
How's that, Keith?
That's great. That's great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got history and the time and.
That's perfect. Love it.
Yeah.
have you ever gone on Google to research this particular book?
I have not, no.
Okay. I can tell you.
No,
you
it
can.
lives down in Georgia.
You put that name into Google, and then say, guy,
Oh, I'm ready.
and then put that name,
Okay.
and then it will bring up this book.
Oh, online, so you can actually read
Online,
it.
and then on the left side, it says, read online, you click read online, and the whole book is there.
Beautiful.
And then you can go in and find these pages.
Yeah, because that's already there.
Folks like yourself, heroes like yourself that come and fly with us, and it's wonderful to have them with us. It's just amazing.
Well, when Keith Coleman can do it, I just could not believe it.
Yeah, well,
And it's transforming me today, and I'm still can't believe it.
Well-
It's beyond my comprehension. You get my damn age, you're lucky to get your legs out over the bed to hit the floor, you know what I mean?
yes, sir.
That's the type of work I did for many years.
Yes, sir.
In
Well,
And then my brother, with all his expertise, I had the other thing. What is it, Lou? The French government?
The French Legion of Honor.
oh, yes.
He won that
Yeah.
May 19th.
That was the day I was shot down, and they decreed the damn thing to me on my wedding anniversary. I couldn't believe that either. I showed my brother right on the thing, and that.
That's a couple of monumental events on a single day, huh?
And your
April the 27th was my wedding anniversary.
wedding anniversary, and that's the document that's signed on that day.
They signed on that
And
day.
then he got it on May the 19th, which is the day 70 years ago he was shot down in the North Sea. So we just said, and then 2 or 3 days later, Keith called him.
No.
Said, well, we'll give you a ride and it's 70.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it.
Well, I'll tell you, I was a fighter pilot, and I flew in 4 wars, but never even remotely compared to what you did every day. And I cannot tell you how much respect and admiration that I have for you and everything that you did every day, because you have given me such a wonderful country, to grow up in. And if it wasn't for guys like you and women, men, we wouldn't be here. Of course, now we need to take our country. Have you read the book? Have you heard of that book?
Yeah, I heard of the book.
It's an amazing book, unbelievable. the B-17 pilot was Charlie Brown, and it's the story of a B-17 that was coming back after a raid over Germany and just shot to pieces. A couple of the crew members were dead. The left horizontal stabilizer was completely shot away, had gaping holes all in the airplane. And this German pilot named Hans Steiger looked up and saw the B-17 going over, and he needed one more B-17 to shoot down in order to get the Knight's Cross.
Yeah.
And so he jumped in his ME-109 and took off and went up and pulled up behind this B-17 and just stopped. And he looked and he could see the tail gunner was dead. Through the gaping holes in the airplane, he could see crew members that were dead, and other crew members were taking care of wounded crew members. Had number 2 engine out, number 3 was smoking, almost on fire. And he just said, I can't do it. And he pulled up alongside of him, tried to get Charlie Brown to land in Germany, and Charlie shook his head no. Well, Steiger realized that, and these guys were only at 2,500 feet and able to do about 130, 135, so they were a sitting duck. And they were going to have to fly over some heavy flak area. And Steiger knew that the German gunners, if the B-17 was by itself, they were going to blow it out of the sky. But he knew that if he was escorting that B-17, that the German gunners would not fire. And so he stayed on the B-17's wing, escorted them out over the North Sea, and saluted and turned back to Germany. And this book, it parallels Steiger and Charlie Brown through their career, his career with the Luftwaffe. Charlie Brown's with the Army Air Corps until that point over Germany that day. And then like 40 years later, they met and became amazing friends.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And it's an unbelievable. I started reading the book, and I read it all night long. I couldn't put it down. Great book.
About like this, and this view like this all the time.
Yeah.
And flying. Keith, you know what I mean? So that,
How did you put up with the cold?
oh shit.
I mean, it just seems amazing.
And you had a flight vest on, you had a parachute harness on, you had a Mae West on, you had long underwear on, you had a flight suit on, you had all that on, and you were standing, and then you had flight boots on. You look like a zombie trying to walk around in this damn thing.
Amazing.
And then a lot of times I had to crawl back several times back to the back, so you crawl around the tail. Julian, and then we had to go from here up to there to the radio room to take off. You never were back here on takeoff. We're in there. We have to know one thing. When you fly at 28,000 degrees or 28,000 degrees, the temperature is like a -20. What kept your face from freezing? Well, your oxygen mask, your goggles, and I had a silk scarf. Yeah, everything was covered up. You had very little skin going. Very little. The air coming in here had to be clear. Oh shit, this one's cold.
I can't even comprehend. Can't even comprehend.
No, I just.
Yeah.
And see, the oxygen bottle was a lot bigger than that. Yeah, I know. And the pictures that I got where they were big. Big on both sides. On both sides. Yeah. On this. See, his tail broke off right behind the ball turret. Yeah. Tail back here, right here. And we used to go to that side to go crawl back to the tail position, where we pulled the tail gunner on the back. We pulled him up here, and then we ditched in the radio room. out to where he's gonna take off, and you lock it, this damn thing will really shake. Because he's gonna rev it up, with manifold pressure, and you can see if everything's all right. Then you get it up to take off, you gotta get it up to speed, and then we'll take off down. Watch it, see how close that comes. We'd be sitting on the, like this gate, one plane right after another, waiting to get on, like he's going to do in a moment, and lined up with the runway to take off. It's a good thing World War II was, you don't know Bob Harper, do you?
No.
Bob Harper is about 4'11", 100 pounds maybe, 90. He could get through that opening. That's where he was. He was a ball turk hunter. Yeah. Look at the size of that.
Oh, I know. It's
Can you
crazy.
imagine somebody today, and your knees are right here like this.
Oh.
Your knees are like that. Yeah.
I'd be so claustrophobic. Oh my
Guns
god.
Like this. And he's in there for 9 hours.
How does the ammo continue to get there?
They had it on the yoke here. It's fed in, on each side.
Oh, it just kept feeding in?
That's feeding in.
Did you have to send them more? Did you have to load
No,
it?
you
or-
only had a certain amount. No, he did everything himself.
Wow.
Same way back here. He took care of anything to that.
Would you run out of ammo or?
Oh, sometimes, but most of the time you didn't. That's the thing you learn in relating to.
How many rounds did you take with
Normally
you?
600 to 800 rounds.
Oh, that's not very many, is
No,
it?
I know it.
Well, you do have to use it sparingly.
Oh yeah, 3 to 5 rounds. depending on the
Bursts,
person.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Oh yeah. Boeing modified this thing about 20 times, figuring out everything about it. Of course, so the gunners could live in there.
Living
When
there,
they first
yeah.
started, they just were terrible.
Was there ventilation going through
What
here?
model is it? Yep. F model. No chin turn. Now what? G model had a chin turn. G did? Yeah. Was there a D and E and E? Yeah. Backwards? Yeah. This is an F. Yeah.
That smell bring back memory? That sound? And
He's getting ready now. He's getting ready to turn around and hit the runway. See? Yeah. He's going to be taking off in that direction, shouldn't he? He's the run. Watch it now. I'm watching his hand up on the throttle. Yeah, we're doing the run. Yeah. I got it. He's pushing forward now. Get the clearance from the control tower. Yeah, there you go. They better check that oil in that engine. When they get back from these 2 flights. Yeah, it's burning oil, but that's all it's burning oil. It's not burning a whole lot because it's not on the horizontal stabilizer now. Yeah, that's why these planes are so airworthy with the size of that stabilizer. Yeah, there's a lot of planes, but they don't have planes that big. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine standing back here, letting shrapnel or shells come through, go through the ship, go out, burst the plane, and it sound like rocks falling down and come down on it, bounce off, or some would come through. Yeah, little tiny holes over this damn thing.
Did you say you have a couple of pieces of flak at home?
Oh yeah, I got a piece about that long and about that wide. up, watch it now. It's gonna get it way on up. Should be ready to take off now. Yeah, he's winding it up right now. Now we're gonna turn around and get ready. Now we're gonna head off.
Well, your field of grass,
No, concrete. Concrete, yeah. We had the longest runway in England. There, yeah, we had 2 runways. He's breaking it now.
Good landing.
Good landing. With this type of aircraft, you better believe it. Well, any landing you make is a good one. That's great.
That sound is amazing.
Made my day.
Awesome?
I'm trying to, the noise is still the same.
Is it? Yeah.
Haven't changed one bit.
And the smells? Are the
Oh, yeah,
smells
the
the
smells.
same?
This guy's got 2 spiders to his credit. You put it right where you're at. Okay, that's what that means there. Several spiders. That radio operator is watching by ring. Yep, got on the window. That's what they use to buy it. You don't realize how, at this time, how big this airplane was. The wing, I thought it was big. Yeah. And of course, gets under the